You've probably heard authors and would-be experts say you need 50 to 100 views on Amazon before your book can really take off. And honestly, there's some truth to that. A stronger review profile can absolutely help build trust and credibility with readers. The problem is that a lot of authors chase those numbers using risky tactics that can backfire badly if they don't understand Amazon's rules and best practices. That's where things get messy. A lot of review advice still floating around is outdated, lazy, or flat out dangerous. Review swaps, friends and family, paid review schemes, fake ARC teams, and sudden review spikes can all create problems if you don't know what Amazon is watching. I learned some of this the hard way years ago, and I'll tell you exactly what happened. But this isn't just a warning, and it's definitely not all doom and gloom. Getting more reviews is still possible when you know which methods are safe, which ones are risky, and where the line actually is. I've tested organic review strategies, ARC systems, editorial reviews, and review exchange platforms across multiple books. So let's break down how authors can get more reviews faster without breaking Amazon's rules or risking their publishing account. According to Amazon Advertising Academy, 91% of Amazon customers look at reviews before making a purchase. That means roughly 9 out of 10 shoppers are looking at customer feedback before deciding whether a product is worth their money. Amazon also recommends that for a product to be retail ready, it should have at least 15 reviews with an average rating of 3.5 or greater. So right out of the gate, we know reviews play a role in how customers evaluate a product to Amazon. The retailer is providing you with exactly what works on their platform. Your cover and description can get attention and explain the book, but reviews provide social proof from readers who have already taken a chance on it. That social proof gives customers more confidence. When someone lands on your product page, they want to know your book is worth their time, money, and attention. A review gives them another person's perspective to weigh before making that final decision. The old adage applies here. Nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd. Think about a popular club with a line wrapped around the building. Sometimes that line is purposeful. The longer the crowd stands outside, the more people walking by start to wonder what's going on in there. They see other people waiting and immediately assume something inside must be worth checking out. Reviews can create a similar effect on Amazon. When browsing customers see activity around a book, it gives them one more reason to stop, pay attention, and consider whether they want to be part of that experience too. Can you still sell a book with no reviews? Absolutely. I'll even run ads to books with no reviews. However, I temper my expectations with reality. That ad is probably going to cost me more in the long run than an ad for a book with a more balanced review profile. When a customer lands on a product page with little to no feedback, they have less information to work with. When that same customer lands on a page with recent, honest feedback, they have more context before making the purchase. This is also why I don't get hung up on arbitrary milestones like 50 or 100 reviews. Are those good goals? Sure. I'm not going to pretend a stronger review profile doesn't help, but those numbers are only one piece of the puzzle. A book still needs the right cover, a solid description, proper targeting, and an offer that makes sense for the reader. Chasing a number without understanding the bigger picture is where authors start making bad decisions. Recency and consistency matter more than most authors realize. A book with 100 reviews from 5 or 6 years ago can still benefit from that older feedback, but recent reviews show readers are still discovering and responding to the book today. A steady flow of reviews gives customers a clearer picture of how the book is performing right now. Slow but steady wins this race every single time. But here's where authors get themselves in trouble. Once they realize reviews matter, they start looking for faster ways to get them, often to their detriment. If you're not careful about how and where you source your reviews, you could end up losing your reviews or even endangering your account. Back when I started self-publishing in 2014, I learned a lot from people on YouTube. Some of it was good and some of it was flat out wrong. One piece of advice I heard early on was that if you wanted more reviews, you should do direct review swaps with other authors. A review swap is simple. Author A reads author B's book and leaves a review, then author B does the same for author A. Now, on the surface, that probably sounds fair enough. Both authors read the books and left honest feedback. Everybody wins, right? Well, Amazon doesn't see it that way. In July 2015, I was going hard into direct review swaps. I wasn't skimming books and slapping up random praise either. I was legitimately reading these books and leaving honest reviews. At one point, I had a really strong reviewer profile with reviews on books and plenty of other products on Amazon. Then one day I logged in and started noticing reviews disappearing. The reviews on my books started vanishing, and the reviews I left on other authors' books were gone too. When I reached out to Amazon, the answer was pretty clear. I had violated their community guidelines, and they removed my ability to leave reviews. That mistake followed me for years. I had to appeal, wait, and work my way back from something I could have avoided if I had gone straight to the source instead of trusting random advice online. That's the danger with review advice. A tactic can sound harmless until Amazon sees a connection, a pattern, or a conflict of interest. Review swaps create a direct connection between authors, and Amazon considers that biased. Friends and family fall into that same danger zone. I used to recommend this to new authors, but I don't anymore. If your mom, spouse, best friend, coworker, or cousin leaves a review, Amazon can view that as a personal connection. That review isn't neutral, even if the person is trying to be honest. Friends and family can help in more ways than buying your book and leaving a biased review. If they want to copy your book, gift it to them away from Amazon. If they want to support you, ask them to share it with someone else. They can talk about how proud they are, recommend your book to people who might actually want it, or post about your accomplishment without pretending to be an unbiased reviewer. There's another reason to be careful here too. If your mom is into quilting and needlework and she buys your Werebear Shapeshifter romance on Amazon, that can confuse Amazon's recommendation system. Now Amazon has another data point connecting your book to a reader who may have no real interest in that niche. That can affect the recommendations around your book. Let's look at one other extreme some authors overlook: incentivizing reviews. Around 2018, a romance author was caught trying to entice readers into leaving reviews by offering a chance to win Tiffany's jewelry in a giveaway. That creates an obvious conflict because the review is now attached to a possible reward. Even if you ask for honest feedback, the reader may feel indebted, pressured, or more likely to soften their opinion because something nice is on the line. Amazon swiftly removed the offending author from the platform. Now, Amazon's guidelines are pretty clear on the big areas. No compensated or incentivized reviews. No reviews from people with a personal or financial connection. ARC reviews are allowed, but they must be honest, optional, and free from pressure. Advanced copies are fine here. Honest feedback is fine. Requiring a review, demanding a positive review, or attaching any prize, gift, refund, discount, or reward, well, it crosses that line. And the consequences can sting. Amazon can remove reviews, limit your ability to use community features, or even suspend an account if the behavior is serious enough. Take the time to read through the KDP terms and conditions as well as the Amazon community guidelines. Amazon explicitly outlines what is and isn't allowed with reviews, and those policies can change over time without much warning. Those pages are also where you can report review abuse, review bombing, misleading reviews, or reviews that have nothing to do with your book. At the very least, check those guidelines once a year so you're staying current with the platform rules instead of relying on outdated advice from random people online. The good news is you still have plenty of safe ways to get reviews, starting with the free and organic options already sitting inside your book. Organic reviews are the type that come in naturally from readers who bought, downloaded, borrowed, or otherwise read your book and decided to leave feedback without being part of an ARC team, review exchange platform, or paid editorial review service. This is your baseline, the bare minimum every author should have in place when launching a book. If you don't have a few simple review systems baked into your book, your website, your email list, and your follow-up process, you're making review gathering harder than it needs to be. At that point, you're just hoping readers remember to leave a review on their own. The first place to start is inside your book. Amazon already prompts Kindle readers to leave a review on the last page of the ebook, inside account dashboards, through emails, app notifications, and homepage widgets. But if those prompts worked perfectly, review counts would look a lot closer to the actual number of purchases and downloads. They don't. So it's on you to remove as much friction as humanly possible. I recommend placing a neutral call to action directly after the end or right after your conclusion. Some authors put that ask in the front matter, and that's an option. At least they're asking. Now, personally, I don't like asking for a review before someone has read a single page. It feels like a waiter asking for the tip before they've even brought out the meal. Here's a simple example. Now that you finished reading my book, it'd mean the world to me if you left an honest review at Amazon. Even leaving a star rating makes a world of difference, and it's greatly appreciated. Notice the focus there? Keep it honest and neutral. Don't ask for positive review or make it weird by guilting readers into doing it. Just point them in the right direction and make that next step easy. You could also test other placements. AppSumo CEO Noah Kagan placed a call to action after the first third of his book, $1 Million Weekend. I thought that was a smart move because he had already delivered real value by that point, and not every reader finishes every book. I still prefer placing the main review request after the conclusion, but that was a clever way to catch readers while they were already engaged. Next, create a direct Amazon review link. The basic format is this. You may want to have to pause the video right here. Okay, now that you got that, so if your ASIN is this, the review link would be this. Okay, take a moment. You don't need to use that ASIN, of course. You can find your ASIN in your KDP dashboard or on the Amazon product page. In most cases, your ebook, paperback, and hardcover share the same Amazon product page, so you don't need a separate review link for every format in every region. The ASIN matters most when a format has its own product page or when a region supports one format but not the other. Your job is to cover each Amazon region where your book is live, test the links, and make sure readers land on the correct review page. To generate review links in regions outside the US, simply replace the top-level domain of .com with the region you want. Now, for instance, the same review link we looked at earlier would look like this. Okay, pause the video. You can see that there. Okay. Side note. Amazon has 13 regions for ebooks, 14 regions for paperback, and 11 regions for hardcover books. Put together a list of all those regions to share or use later. Now for ebooks, that raw link can work fine because readers can tap it. For print books and audiobooks, that long Amazon URL is a mess. No one's going to remember it. That's where a branded redirect helps. For example, you could use something like a subdirectory like dalelroberts.com/review or a subdomain like review.dalelroberts.com. If you're using WordPress for your website, Pretty Links is a great option. Now, I've used the free version for years and gotten a ton of value out of it. Now, if you're not using WordPress, contact your domain provider and ask how to set up a redirect. But we can go further than that to remove even more friction. The affiliate link management service Genius Link can create universal Amazon review links. You provide the region-specific review links, and Genius Link gives you one smart link that sends readers to the right Amazon marketplace based on their location. It starts around $6 per month, so it's optional, but it can remove a lot of friction for international readers. To build a universal review link in Genius Link, log into your account. Choose New on the home page, then select Advanced from the drop-down. Now, Genius Link should default to the US marketplace, so paste your US Amazon review link there first. To add more regions, go to the section that says if it's in a country or region, then type in the marketplace you want, like United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, or wherever else your book is available. Add the correct region-specific review link, then repeat that process for each marketplace you want to include. Once the links are added, hit save, and Genius Link will generate one smart link you can share. Now you can add custom and link text inside Genius Link if that works for you, but I still prefer putting a branded redirect on top of it with something like Pretty Links. That way, instead of sharing a long Genius Link, you can use something simple and memorable like dalelroberts.com/review. For print books, QR codes are another easy win. Add one near your review call to action, on a bookmark, on a handout, or anywhere else you're putting the book in front of readers. They scan it with their smartphone, land on the review page, and don't have to type anything. The easier you make the process, the better chance you have at getting at least a rating, if not a full review. Your email list can help too. share a short quote from a review, link to the book for anyone who hasn't picked it up yet, and of course include a separate review link for anyone who already read it. This works because it keeps the review request connected to an ongoing reader relationship instead of treating it like a random favor. Social media and your website can work the same way. Save strong review quotes in a file so you can reuse them later. Share them as posts, add them to your book page, and don't be afraid to get creative. Viral video influencer and comedian Brad Goss once shared how he used low reviews to promote his books because the comments were funny, outrageous, and highly shareable. That kind of self-awareness can create engagement, drive curiosity, and get more people checking out the book. And speaking of influencers, outreach can help, but only when the audience makes sense. Don't blindly pitch creators because they have a big platform. Find the podcasts, blogs, YouTube channels, newsletters, and communities where your ideal readers already congregate. Be visible, leave thoughtful comments, and share their work. Warm up the relationship before making any ask. For my self-publishing books, the Joe Rogan Experience wouldn't make sense. The Creative Pen podcast, the Self-Publishing with Ally podcast, or the Indie Author podcast would. Organic reviews won't carry the whole load by themselves, but these systems catch the reviews most authors miss. And once the basics are in place, the next step is building something more intentional with ARC teams and review platforms. Real quick interruption here. If you want the fastest way to start building a safer review system, grab my free checklist, 25 Safe Ways to Get More Book Reviews at dalelinks.com/reviews checklist. I'll hook you up with practical Amazon-friendly ideas for getting more honest reviews without resorting to direct review swaps, shady shortcuts, or tactics that could, well, put your account at risk. And when you sign up, I'll also send you weekly self-publishing tips to help you sell more books, protect your author business, and keep building momentum long after launch day. Again, grab the free checklist at dalelinks.com/reviews checklist. Done for you ARC services are platforms that already have a pool of readers looking for books. So if you've got the budget, but you don't have the following, this is one of the first places you should look. To be clear, you're not paying for reviews. You're essentially paying for access, distribution, reader management, and the opportunity to get your book in front of people who already want advanced reader copies. For the purposes of this video, I'll be focused on the first 9 books in my Self-Publishing with Dale series that was launched between July 2024 and September 2025. I tapped into 2 ARC services in NetGalley Co-op and Booksprout. Now, I paid for the NetGalley Co-op hosted through Victory Editing, and at the time, it cost me $603.75 for 1 year. The plan allowed 1 book to be listed at a time, so once 1 book released, I'd archive that title and upload the next book in the series. Now, across 9 books, I counted 57 reviews with an overall average rating of about 4.39 stars. Now, if I were to divide the annual cost of $603.75 between the 57 reviews, each one would be about $10.59. Again, I'm not saying I paid $10.59 for a review. I paid for the annual co-op access. I just like to see how the actual investment pans out. Now, overall, I was pretty happy with NetGalley. The review quality was solid, and I'm still seeing some reviews come in from readers who downloaded books months ago. But the volume varied by title. Some books pulled in more reviews than others, which didn't surprise me too much because my self-publishing books are very niche. Now, I'd be curious to see how fiction would perform on NetGalley because I have a feeling the right genre fiction book could do even better here. NetGalley gives you a couple of ways to handle reader access. You can make your book freely available, or you can approve reader requests one at a time. Now, I started by approving readers manually because I wanted more control over who got the book. You can view a reader's profile, see if they usually leave reviews, and decide whether they look like a good fit. After a few months, I stopped being so precious about it and started approving nearly everyone. I didn't notice a major change in review quality or results. The same general pattern continued. So at some point, I figured it was better to get the book into more hands and let the system do what it does. The downside is the price. Victory Editing's NetGalley Co-op has since gone up to $625 per year or $68.25 per month for ebooks. So it's not cheap, especially when you can only host 1 book at a time. But if you've got the budget and want access to a more established reader pool, NetGalley is certainly worth considering. Now, Booksprout, on the other hand, was a pleasant surprise in more ways than one. I used the best-selling author plan at $290 for the year. That unlocks a lot of what Booksprout offers, and the big advantage is that you can run multiple campaigns at the same time. That's a major difference from the NetGalley co-op. With NetGalley, you could only feature one book at a time. With Booksprout, I could set up multiple books, refresh campaigns, adjust keywords, and keep more titles active. When I interviewed the Booksprout team a couple years ago, they recommended refreshing ARC campaigns with new keywords or start new ARC campaigns so you could attract a different audience over time. That's a useful feature if you're building a longer-term review system instead of running one campaign and walking away. Now, across 9 books, I counted 34 reviews through Booksprout, with an overall average rating of about 4.79 stars. If I were justifying that annual expense across those visible reviews, it breaks down to about $8.53 per review. Again, that does not mean I paid readers for reviews. That's just how I break down my annual cost. Booksprout produced fewer total reviews than NetGalley in this sample, but it gave me more flexibility for less money. I could run multiple campaigns, choose where I wanted readers to post, and potentially get reviews on more than one platform from a single reader. For the reviews I counted, 10 were posted to more than one platform. The remaining 24 were single platform posts, primarily Amazon. That multi-platform feature is a big deal. A reader might post to Amazon, Google Play, BookBub, Barnes & Noble, or another storefront, depending on what you set up and what they choose. So even if the raw number of readers is lower, each reader can potentially create more than one review touch point. A couple of other ARC services are worth mentioning too. Hidden Gems Books has been around for a long time, and I've used them in the past. I didn't use them for this round because their service has been in demand, and years ago I remember waiting a long time for one of my campaigns to open up. The results I got back then were modest, but to their credit, they didn't charge me when the campaign didn't deliver the expected reader count. I wouldn't write them off based on my experience. I just didn't use them for the specific test, but plan on using them for future fiction books. Book Sirens is another one I looked into, and honestly, they earned a lot of trust from me without taking a dime. I reached out about using their ARC service, and they came back and told me my nonfiction niche probably wouldn't perform well with their reader base. They weren't rude or dismissive either. They just said essentially, we don't think this is the best fit and we don't want you wasting money. That kind of honesty goes a long way. I didn't use them for these books, but when I start publishing fiction, Book Sirens is one of the first places I'll look. Before you sink any money into any of these options, I highly recommend doing your research. I have a much deeper budget than a lot of authors. If I were forced to choose one of those 4 options, I'd probably run with Booksprout since I can do more than one ARC campaign at a time. Long before ARC tools like StoryOrigin and BookFunnel were around, I handled my ARC team the old-fashioned way. I'd email my subscribers, ask who wanted to join the advanced reader copy team, host the ebook file in Google Drive, then track everything in Google Sheets. I'd have columns for the reader's name, email address, book title, date sent, follow-up date, review link, and whether they actually posted the review. Then I'd set calendar reminders so I knew when to follow up. That system worked, but man, it was clunky and slightly questionable. The biggest issue was security. If you're sharing a Google Drive link, that file can be passed around. Maybe no one does anything shady with it, but you don't have much control once that link is out there. Services like StoryOrigin and BookFunnel solve a lot of that by handling file delivery, reader access, reminders, and in some cases, watermarking. So if someone downloads your ARC, that copy can be tied back to them. StoryOrigin costs $100 per year, and ARC management is only one of the many things it does. You can use it for beta reader feedback, audiobook code distribution, newsletter swaps, group promos, and more. But for this discussion, the focus is on ARC management, of course. Now, I tested StoryOrigin across 8 books. The results varied quite a bit. Now, some campaigns only had around 12 to 20 accepted applications, while one book had 58. Sadly, that wasn't random, and I completely own it. The more I promoted an ARC through my email list, Discord, YouTube, or social media, the better it performed. The campaigns I barely mentioned didn't do nearly as well. Now, that's the biggest thing to understand about do-it-yourself ARC tools. They don't bring the readers for you. They help you manage the readers you already have access to. That's it. StoryOrigin handled the hosting, reminders, review links, and follow-up process. When the book went live, I could add the live book links and StoryOrigin would notify readers and remind them to submit their reviews. Amazon was always my primary review target, but I also gave readers the option to post in other places like YouTube, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, BookBub, or a blog. Across 8 StoryOrigin campaigns, about a third of the readers who posted to Amazon also posted somewhere else. That's why I like giving ARC readers options beyond Amazon, even though Amazon is usually my primary review target, of course. Now, others only left the review inside StoryOrigin and didn't move it over to Amazon after publication, or they had it on Amazon but forgot to mark it as completed in StoryOrigin. And of course, some never completed the process at all. Across 8 StoryOrigin ARC campaigns, I had 201 accepted applications. Of those, 122 left at least some kind of review inside StoryOrigin, which comes out to about 61%. The remaining 79 never left or tracked a review. So even with your own audience, follow-ups, and a tool managing the process, you still should expect some drop-off. That's where reader education matters. If you're using a tool like StoryOrigin, don't assume ARC readers understand the workflow. Tell them exactly what to do, where to leave the review, and how leaving feedback inside StoryOrigin is not the same as posting the review on Amazon. And make sure they know they need to come back and mark the review as submitted, because that can affect how reliable they look for future campaigns. My biggest wish for StoryOrigin is that it allowed authors to build a permanent ARC team and carry reliable readers from one campaign into the next. You can contact some readers after they complete a review, but I didn't take that extra step consistently. That's on me, of course. If I had been more intentional, my numbers probably would have been stronger across the board. BookFunnel is another solid option worth mentioning. The closest comparable plan is probably the mid-list author plan at $200 per year. Now, this service has its own strengths, especially if you already use it for reader magnets, direct sales delivery, or managing your author audience. Back in 2015, I got burned by direct review swaps, but review exchange platforms as we know them today didn't really exist yet. At the time, authors were trading reviews one-to-one, which created the exact kind of personal connection Amazon doesn't want. Modern review exchange platforms are built differently. They create separation between authors, structure the process, and keep the focus on honest reader feedback instead of direct trades. Amazon's community guidelines are still the standard here, so before using any platform connected to reviews, read the current rules for yourself and make sure you understand what you're doing. For this case study, I tested 3 review exchange platforms across 8 to 9 books: BookBounty, Get Authentic Book Reviews, and Gemsy. Full disclosure here, the platforms gave me access and account credits so I could test results without having to read and review hundreds of books myself. So my results are not a promise or guarantee. Your results could be better, worse, or completely different depending on your niche, your book, your pricing, and how active you are inside the platform. Let's start with BookBounty. I use the publisher plan, which costs $180 per year. They also offer a 15-day free trial. Of the 3 review exchange platforms I tested, BookBounty had the largest library in my experience. This is a pretty big deal because you need available books to read and review in order to get your book reviews. Across 9 books, BookBounty generated 148 reviews with an overall average rating of about 4.7 stars. What I liked most was the dashboard and marketplace breakdown. I could see where the reviews were posted across different Amazon regions, not just Amazon.com. And that's a major plus if you're trying to build credibility beyond one marketplace. BookBounty has different bounty types. A standard bounty is where the reader gets the file through BookBounty, reads it, and posts a review. A verified purchase bounty costs more points because the reader buys the book than leaves the review. Going forward, verified purchase bounties are probably where I'd put more attention, especially during a price promo. If your ebook is dropped to 99 cents, the verified purchase bounty can cost fewer points than when the book is sitting at a higher price. The reviews were mostly solid, and yes, I got some lower ratings too, which is good. If a platform gives me nothing but glowing 5-star reviews, I get suspicious. A 1, 2, or 3-star review tells me people are reading and responding honestly. You're not going to please everyone, and anyone who thinks they deserve nothing but 5-star reviews is delusional. Next up is Get Authentic Book Reviews. This was the cheapest subscription of the 3 at $65 per year, and they offer a 10-day free trial. But that lower subscription cost needs context. On Get Authentic Book Reviews, reviewers are required to buy the ebook, read it, and leave the review. So yes, the annual fee is lower, but you still have to purchase ebooks to earn wallet points that you can redeem for reviews on your books. That buying requirement is also the biggest strength of the platform. The whole system is built around verified purchase reviews, and owner Flavia Kennedy has been very clear about keeping the platform focused on honest reviews that align with Amazon's guidelines. That's why I felt and still feel comfortable using it. Across all 9 books, Get Authentic Book Reviews generated 375 reviews, which was the highest raw review count of the 3 platforms. I don't have a clean average rating report from their dashboard, and I'm not manually tracking 300 plus reviews across every single platform for this case study. Anecdotally though, the reviews felt balanced. I saw plenty of 4 and 5-star reviews, but I also saw lower ratings and critical feedback, which gave me more confidence in the system. Then there's Gemsy. The yearly plan is $180 per year, and they offer a 7-day free trial. Gemsy is a little different because it focuses more on nonfiction, low-content books, workbooks, activity books, and select children's books. If you're publishing standard fiction, I don't know this is going to be the best fit for you. Gemsy has a few review paths: standard reviews, Kindle Unlimited reviews, verified purchase ebook reviews, and verified print copy reviews. If you review ebooks, you earn gems. If you review print books, you earn rubies. Those credits can then be used towards your own review requests. Now, across 8 books, I received 34 reviews with an average rating around 4.9 stars. Now, on paper, it looks great, but I'll be honest, I was a little more underwhelmed by some of the reviews here. I saw this on every platform, mind you, but Gemsy seemed to have a higher percentage of reviews that felt thinned or just kind of generic. And that's my biggest issue with any review exchange platform. If you can't be bothered to read the book, actually read it, and leave a useful review, don't accept the assignment. The strongest part of Gemsy is its niche focus and the verified print review option. Print reviews are harder to get, so that feature could be worth testing more in the future. I just want to see stronger substance from reviewers when they post feedback. And a few best practices apply no matter which platform you use. Use one review exchange platform at a time. Don't bounce between 3 or 4 platforms at once, because you could accidentally create overlap where someone reviewed on one platform later reviews your book on another. That starts looking too close to the direct review swap problem we already covered before. These platforms are built to remove the direct contact, so pick one and stick with it. Choose books you actually want to read. Don't just chase points. If you grab random books across unrelated niches, you're not doing yourself, the author, or Amazon's recommendation system any favors. Read the book. Yes, actually open the book and read it cover to cover. Leave an honest review. Say what worked and what didn't. Keep it useful for the next customer. Low-star reviews are fine when they're honest and specific. What doesn't help is generic praise that sounds like someone skimmed the table of contents and called it a day, or vague criticisms like, "I didn't like the book." Review exchange platforms can work, but they require time, effort, and good judgment. Treat them like a real reader would, and they can become another useful piece of your review strategy. Why exactly are we talking about editorial reviews, since they're technically not reviews posted on Amazon? Well, because they can still support your Amazon product page. A strong editorial review can give your book another layer of social proof, even if that review lives somewhere outside Amazon. In fact, that outside placement can be a bonus, because now your book has another discovery point beyond one retailer. Then you can take a strong snippet from that review and add it to your Amazon book page through Author Central. Amazon Author Central is a free service that provides you with an author profile. That applies whether you publish through KDP, Drafted Digital, Ingram Spark, or any other distributor over onto Amazon. Now, once you're in Author Central, you can add editorial review snippets to your book page to reinforce credibility and potentially boost discoverability. Now, some authors also work short editorial review excerpts into their book description. Others use them on covers, websites, emails, social posts, or ads. And that's all fine, but the key is that you have to actually use the review. An editorial review sitting quietly on another website isn't going to magically sell books for you. You can't drop money into a review service and expect sales to rain down the next day. Editorial reviews are quite simply marketing collateral. They only work if you put them to work. Costs vary wildly. Reader's Favorite offers a free review option, though I look at it more like a hybrid between a customer review and an editorial review. On the premium end, services like Kirkus can run hundreds of dollars, sometimes $550 or more, depending on the package and turnaround. Higher-end reviews can carry weight with certain librarians, bookstores, educators, and media outlets, but even then, the review still needs to support a broader marketing plan. This is also where authors need to be careful. If some random company cold pitches you through emails promising exposure, credibility, or guaranteed results, keep your guard up. Good editorial review services usually don't need to chase authors down through sketchy cold outreach. Authors already know where to find the reputable names. Now, other review services can help too. Goodreads, BookBub, Readsy, retailer reviews, direct sales storefront, and niche review sites can all create secondary credibility signals. Since we're focused on Amazon, I wouldn't overthink those platforms here. Just remember that strong feedback from those places still become useful marketing material if you quote it properly and give it credit over on Amazon. Editorial reviews are nice to have. They can help with credibility, discovery, and marketing copy. But if your main goal is getting more Amazon customer reviews, don't start here. Build your organic systems first. Look into ARC tools and review platforms and use editorial reviews as an additional layer when the budget and marketing plan makes sense. Hey, remember the review exchange platforms I shared earlier? Well, check out this live video series where I interview the founders of all three companies. Get deeper insights into how their platforms function and why author account safety is their highest priority. I'll see you in that next video.